Hey there, welcome to the Game Artist Podcast. My name is Ryan Kingsline. I am the founder of the Game Art Institute, where we train artists for the career of their lives. In this podcast, we interview amazing game artists to see what makes them tick and see how they got where they are today. So sit back, relax. I look forward to sharing their journey with you. All right, guys. Hey, welcome. So I have with me here Matias Zadicoff. Did I say that right?
Yes, it's Zadicoff.
Zadicoff. All right. About swallowed my tongue there. I am incredibly excited to have this conversation. Can we drop over to your art station for a second to put that in the background? Been following
Yeah.
your work for a bit, and I love it. Your characters are amazing.
Oh, thank you. I remember that actually when you were doing portfolio reviews,
Uh-huh.
I submitted mine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was great to receive your critic.
Man, I don't know what I could add. Your work's great. I'm loving it.
Oh,
You
thanks.
know, the key thing I think about this conversation is just the value of the work that you have. Like, it's very fun. It's very cool. So I want to get in and I want to learn about this. There's a bunch of story. There's always narrative in all of this stuff. Like the brute girl. I forget what it is. The second image in your art station, the girl with the bat. Like, it's just so awesome. But I think what we should do is start this off by you just giving us a sense of what you do. Are you in Buenos Aires right now? Is that where you live and work?
Yes, I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Hmm.
Um,
What do you do?
I've been living here. Sorry.
What do you do? What's the job? Are you a character artist there, or do you do?
Yes, I used to be a generalist. I have 42 years old,
Hmm.
but I used to do everything related to characters.
Okay.
Well, I've been working in the CG industry for the last 20 years, where everything was very different. You have to do pretty much everything. Well, I think you know the story,
Hmm.
how everything changed. And now you have to be more specialist instead of a generalist. So a few years ago, I realized that I had disappeared from social network.
Hmm.
I went to CTN in 2017,
Hmm.
and I realized how the different artists were promoting on Instagram and our station.
Yeah, it totally
And
changed right about then, huh?
yeah, yeah. So I realized that even if I had continuous work, I wasn't proud of what I doing. Most of the shops that I was doing, I couldn't put them on my portfolio. So I decided to take like 6 months for myself to improve my skills. Um, I remember all my characters were pretty obsolete, um, because of all the new softwares, ZBrush, Marvelous Designer, Substance Painter. So I wanted to improve all my skills and get on the new tools that they use in the industry.
Hmm.
So I like everything related to characters,
Hmm.
um, from concept to modeling and animation, because I consider that animation is also part of the character itself,
Hmm.
because it's the body language. It's like a person. You can see a guy or girl with pretty nice facial features, body features,
Hmm.
but if they had a bad attitude, a bad temper, they become ugly. So that's why I think a character is pretty much everything. How the body language, how they look, how they dress.
Mhm.
I also like to design my own characters, but since I realized that I had to specialize myself, I decided to grab concepts from another people, because I'm not the type of artist who is sketching, drawing all the time. So I want to do that in the future, but um, for now, I decided to grab concepts that I really like. Most of the times, stylized characters, funny characters that actually you can tell a story on one frame.
Mm.
You can tell what the character is thinking, what it's gonna do, what's his humor at that time. So I chose concepts that I felt related with. For example, if you see Jesus, this is a concept from Gabriel Suarez from Brazil.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know if I have the original. Yeah, this is the original concept.
Oh man, you
For
did.
me, it
That's
was a
amazing.
character that
Yeah.
it tells a story. I
Uh-huh.
think it's fun, but at the same time, it's the look in his eyes says something. So and I had with this character, I had the supervision from the artist, which was great. I love to design what you don't see in the concept,
Mhm.
the side view, and following the logic of the shapes, the forms that you can see on the concept. Actually, that is something that I learned on a course that I took at ZBrush workshops with Michael Dufell.
Mhm.
He taught us how to read the shapes with lighting and shadows. Depending on how the lighting expands, you can see how sharp or soft a part is. So my goal was to translate the concept as much as possible to 3D. You can fake in 2D, but you cannot do that in 3D.
Mhm.
It has to work from every different angle. Especially, I also like 3D printing, so I had to make sure that the character look good from every angle. Even if we have a main angle to look at it, everything has to work. So, for example, with this character, I had his supervision, which was great. But then on the other ones, for example, this one is from Anna Katish. I sent it to her, but she never replied. So I did what I thought it was right.
Mhm.
Um, Also, it's hard for me. For example, I'm friend with Daniel Bell.
Mhm.
I think
The sculptor, right?
yeah, yeah,
Oh my God, amazing sculptor.
yeah. We are neighbors.
No way.
Yeah, we live really close from each other.
Uh-huh.
And he's someone who really helped me by listening to his talks.
Mhm.
Also, one thing that it really changed my career was to start listening to other artists,
Mm.
especially you.
Mm.
Uh, the way on the videos where you show how to sculpt, how to think as an artist, but
Mm.
also how to observe and how to improve parts, and also about the promotional part, how
Mhm.
to present your portfolio. All your advices were really helpful for me. And
Awesome.
also when I listened to Daniel, it was great because he had the same background as me. He was a generalist,
Mhm.
but he had very clear what he wanted to do. He wanted to only to sculpt characters, but for me it was different because I like designing, I like modeling, but also rendering and get a final look. For me, one of the most important parts is to translate it to the concept as close as possible in 3D. I see in many productions where you see amazing concepts, but then the 3D doesn't really represent what the concept is, especially with girl characters. They always tend to do the same Disney type of head, and they change a few proportions and just the hair and outfit. For me, beauty is you can see a girl with a very large nose and she's still beautiful. But then in 3D, all the girls have like the rounded shape with a small nose. So I don't like the stereotypes. If you see this girl, she still has kind of the same of a stereotype. But I think she has something different. I don't know, maybe the nose is shorter than usual, lips are fuller. I like to keep the line, the stroke of the artist. I see really great artists, sculptors, but they don't have like a style. They do pretty much the same, and I really enjoy when I see a thumbnail on our station and I know who made it. So my goal, so to know who I was, what I wanted to do was the best thing was to go back to who I was when I was a child. And I was a child that I used to play with toys, but for example, the He-Man characters, I remember grabbing the toy and put it side by side on the TV, and yeah, of course it was He-Man, but the toy didn't really look like the character that I saw on TV. He had different proportions, different facial features. And so for me, since when I was a child, that was very obvious. So that's what I intend to do now. Try to keep the the the, the style, the stroke of the artist in 3D. I'm still developing it. I think you never stop learning, and I'm happy what I've been doing, but I want to take another 6 months to keep improving and choose the projects that I want to work on. So I think it's hard for me to say, okay, I'm just a modeler. So I quit doing rigging and animation for now. I love animating characters, but I stopped doing that for now, and also designing. And I focus on trying to achieve appealing characters. And also, I work a lot on the rendering part, because I think many times we tend to go for realism, even if we are working on a stylized character. It's like you have marvelous designer, which is amazing. You can get very realistic results and very easily. But do I really want realistic folds and wrinkles on a stylized character? No. Same with the rendering. It's really tempting to get a nice looking skin, very realistic, but if I'm doing a stylized character, I have to look for the right style of textures and shading and folding and hair for that fits the character. So that's my search.
Got it. So there's a couple of things I want to unpack there. What kind of software do you use, just so we're kind of clear?
I use ZBrush. My main 3D package was 3D Max, but I'm switching to Maya because the industry is requiring me to switch to Maya. So I know how to create shaders and do rendering, but I'm not still I'm still much more proficient in 3ds Max. Then I use Substance Painter a lot. Well, as I said, Marvelous or Natrix, V-Ray. Yeah, mostly those.
Or Natrix, for those who don't know, that's the hair one, and it's not available
Yeah.
for people in the US. So in 2017, you realized you'd kind of fallen off the map. I fall off that map all the time. And
Yeah.
you're not on social media, and you come back and you're like, oh my God, the world is different. People are posting different quality of work. And that's something that's kind of been an issue, not an issue, it's a dilemma, not even a dilemma. It's just something that we're dealing with in the boot camp too. Um, so I want to talk about that for a moment. When you realized that something had changed, what was going through your mind? Like what did you think about yourself and your work, and what were you noticing that had actually changed?
Well, I realized that it was really hard for me to do the shops that I didn't want to do anymore. I felt like a hooker just doing it for the money. And I realized that times goes by really fast, and I
Hmm.
wanted to enjoy it. So I wanted to pursue the shops that I wanted to do. I also realized that you have to expose. I mean, I don't have a set goal. Like it's like my goal is not to go to Pixar or DreamWorks. I would love to go if I had the chance. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt to go to those big studios, but I wanted just to open and the possibilities, just to expose my work, do okay. This is me. This is the type of work that I do, and it was amazing the feedback that I received. It was very scary at the beginning because I didn't know if people was going to be interested in what I wanted to do, because if you go to our station, you can see mostly realistic stuff, anime stuff, fan art, and I didn't want to do any of that.
Hmm.
I wanted to go for cartoony, fun stuff, and it was great because all the project that I received, it was based on that. When I asked my clients, my new clients, for okay, what are your reference? The reference to my own stuff, which was
Nice.
great.
Nice.
So they came because they like what I did. They wanted my input on their projects.
Was it scary
So
to make that transition?
yeah, it was very scary, and actually, I ran out of money because the economy in my country is a mess. There is a lot of inflation, so
Hmm.
I thought that I could take like a whole year to improve. I learned to be patient. I know the kind of portfolio that I have to present. I know the standards that you have to show to people consider you.
Hmm.
So I see a lot of young artists that they are posting every day on Instagram. They want to keep it up, but our job as a 3D artist is different from an illustrator. An
Hmm.
illustrator had the possibility to do a sketch every day and post it, but doing a 3D project takes time. It takes many weeks. So it's not good to show everyday progress. You don't have to post every day. I actually post when I feel that I have something to show, something that is at some grade of quality.
Hmm.
One thing that I learned, for example, is that maybe one day you start working on a character and you spend a whole day and you look at it and you're happy with it. You think it's 90% done. It's almost finished. Then you wake up the next day and you look at it and you said no. And so you keep working, you focus on every part of the character, the eyes, the nose, and try different things. I love ZBrush for sketching, actually, just to grab the eyes and scale them, move them around the frames, put them away closer, and see how it looks better. And also the first thing that I do on ZBrush is to set the canvas and some keyframes on the timeline, so that I can always grab the same angle. So when I compare what I did the next date with what I did the previous date from the same angle with the work that I was happy with, I said, no way, it was very so unprofessional, so cheap. So I realized the more time you put on the work, the better it gets. So I have no hurry to do one thing and post it. I take my time, and I also compare with the standards. I have my artistic heroes. So I have folders, plenty of image that I loved. Some because I love the shapes. On some others, I love the textures, the rendering, and I put it side by side to my work. And I said, okay, does it has the same quality or not? How far am I? Okay, what am I missing? So that's the way that I use to improve my work. Just be patient, compare it with high standards all the time. But you never know. Then when you post a shop, you never know if people is gonna like it or not. It's just a guess. But then it always happened. I heard many artists that they said that they've been posting very often, and then suddenly they do a shop and which they don't really trust that much, and then suddenly people loves it, and you're surprised. But you said, okay, this is the way I have to go. For example, for me, it was the one. It was a character from Chave Escalante. You can see the original concept here. I remember I saw 2 or 3 different artists that made it, but they changed their proportions. You can tell it was a character by the colors. So what I did was just I put my work on top of it and see if everything was in place. So I was very surprised that people really loved it, and I started getting a lot of shops because of this. Then all the other projects that I did, they brought me new clients.
Well, let's about that. So you run out of money, and
Yeah,
because there's a conflict here that I think is really important to understand, and it's kind of for me, it's kind of core to why I do the boot camp. So
yeah,
when you run out of money, you got to be scared, right? I mean, that's the most existential thing we have to deal with. So you run out of money, but yet at the same time, you're saying you're in no rush. So how do you balance those two?
yeah. Well, at that point, I was in a rush. I was confident because I noticed that people started looking at my work and they like it. So, and I had a few clients that I know they can always give me shops to do. And also at that point, I became a dad, which I think becoming a dad, that really changed my mindset to trying to improve myself, trying to do the best that I could. So I started doing a lot of shops and getting new clients, and it was totally mess because suddenly you have three clients, and you have to learn how to deal with every different client because you can get a client that wants your input, and then you have another client, you give him some ideas and he said, no, do it just exactly as the concept, as what I gave you. And maybe you see the concept and it's totally out of proportion, it doesn't work, and you try to fix it, but they just want that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy to deal with different clients at the same time. Every client is different. But then I remember when you gave me feedback, you told me you had to become an influencer, and I didn't understood what that meant, but then I did. It's like suddenly uh, some schools call me to talk about my process.
Mm-hmm.
2 months ago, they invited me to Japan
Wow.
to test. Yeah, it was amazing. It was to test software to animate with VR in Maya.
Okay.
It was an amazing experience. So suddenly you expose your work and things start to come, things that you don't even think of. I just finished a character for Animation Mentor. They are gonna release it next month,
Mm-hmm.
and that was amazing. That's gonna be great to see the students animating the character that I did. It was actually designing. They asked me which artist who I would like to work with, and I gave them a list, and they choose Guisha Rancel from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So he designed the character, I sculpted, I did the textures. Now it's almost done.
Oh man, and that's
Uh,
going to be their student project. Like the students will animate that and do all kinds of stuff.
yeah, it'd be amazing.
Ah, you
Also,
know, and
in 2 months, I'll be
yeah.
exhibiting at Lightbox Expo,
What?
which is, yeah, I submitted my work last year and they chose me, so I'll be there, totally scared, but yeah, I'm willing to take the challenge. Yeah, and I
That's
also want to
awesome.
be at the ZBrush Summit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shy, but you have to work on that. It doesn't really work to be shy. Um, and I think it's also a responsibility if you can teach someone what you know or what you learn on your process. Because I learn from, as I said, from you and a lot of different people. I'm listening every day to art podcast, uh, artists talking about their process,
Mm-hmm.
their fears, also about the economic situation, how you deal when you have to do stuff that
Mm-hmm.
you're not happy with and you want to do your own stuff. And I think the best thing is to do the best that you can. That's how the things comes to you. Um, yeah, that's basically how I think I changed my mindset.
Hmm. So I think this is great. It's the paradox we deal with as artists because we're judged on the quality of our work. We
Yeah,
want the quality of it to be good, so we're in a rush to make that happen. But as you said, you wake up the next morning and every day brings a new brain. So it's like you can see it. I tell my students you have to. In fact, there's one student specifically I've been with on this topic where it's like you have to work and you have to put the time in. You got to put at least 4 or 5 hours in that day, and you must sleep. Then come back in and see what it looks like. And you got to repeat that process for like weeks sometimes just to grind through whatever plateau you might be on.
yeah, for sure.
But the question is then, because that's the we're leveraging the inner critic there. Would you agree? We're leveraging that inner critic, but we're not listening to him too much. Because I don't know about you, but my inner critic is a real asshole.
Yeah, mine too. But
Yeah.
it's like I think I developed like the observation, because I know when I'm doing something that is not working,
Hmm.
maybe I don't know how to fix it. I
Okay.
know it's not working,
So what do you
and
do?
it's just trial and error.
Hmm.
And what I do is just try different things and look around, go for a walk, and look for always work with reference, as I said,
Hmm.
and you know when it starts to work, and maybe you do things that they are correct, they work, but they don't have the appeal.
Right.
And when you are working on a character, it's just like a subtle, maybe a subtle movement of a brow or the mouth that brings the appeal to the character.
Mm. Sometimes even maybe just
Yeah,
the software, right? Like one of my students, Julie, just had this experience where she worked her butt off for 6+ months, and then one or two shifts in how she built the marmoset file, and it was a totally different image.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, um, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like sometimes you have the happy accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
If I look at
totally.
your sorry to interrupt. If I look at your work,
Yeah,
there's a great example of that. I mean, there's a sculpt, one sculpt. It's the Mia sculpt, and it's a beautiful sculpt. It works great in both images. But you did it one way where it was a sculpt that's in the bottom left hand side, right, of this screen,
yeah, this one.
right? Um, the pissed off dudette, yes. And then
Yeah.
did you just completely redo this, or what happened? How'd this work?
Actually, I did this character, and it did pretty well.
Yeah.
I also did like a marketing study, when it's working with the amount of likes. I mean,
Yes.
having likes and comment, it's not about ego. It's about a way to measure how successful your work is.
Mm-hmm.
I know it can also be tricky sometimes, because you can do Spider-Man and you're gonna get a lot of likes, but because people like Spider-Man, maybe they like your work, but mostly it could be because they love Spider-Man.
Oh man, we gotta
So I
pause right
did,
there because that's one. I mean, if I can interrupt that thought for 1 second, because this is one of the things I teach the students, and it might have been part of the conversation you and I were having earlier. You have to leverage events going on, and if we look at like the top people out there, Rafael Grassetti, you look at Glauco,
yeah.
like you know, they're doing a Spider-Man. Avengers are coming out. They're doing a Thanos. They're doing an Avengers. The benefit is as artists we're doing the stuff that we love, but there's also a marketing component to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not against about fan art. Well, but you can tell the difference when Ralph Grassetti makes one Spider-Man, and then you see like not very well done Spider-Man.
Sure.
It's gonna have like, but Grassetti is gonna have way more.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
Terrible,
Also, I like
terrible.
Daniel. Yeah. I mean terrible. I mean amazing.
Yeah, I get it.
So yeah, for with this character, for example, I was pretty happy with her,
Hmm.
but then I did this character where I never like my rendering.
Mm,
For example, if you see this character, it's too plastic,
right.
too CG, to computer graphics, and I don't like that. I like more something not extremely realistic, but some kind of stylized look or stop motion look.
Yeah.
So I did this character, then I did this other one.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Here's the main. It's loading. Uh, but then I wanted to revisit the character. Um, So I wanted to improve the hair. I wanted to actually do realistic hair. Um, more realistic textures, I started using Substance Painter, and I used the new setup that I developed with V-Ray. So yeah, I think you can tell the improvement. I mean, I don't like to grab older projects. I like to move forward, but sometimes I think it's a good deal just to see how you can improve what you did before.
Right. Yeah, that's a great. And if you look at the analytics of it, I think it's what 2 times the amount of likes. I don't think ArtStation lets us talk about reach or anything like that, because I don't think they track it. But views
I
is
don't know, yeah, but in likes, yeah, I can tell, and comments also.
yeah. That's a good point. Comments are really one of the big indicators of engagement. So
Yeah, and
Us-
also,
yeah.
I mean, every comment counts, but then suddenly you see like very recognized people from the industry that start emailing you, commenting
Uh-huh.
you.
Uh-huh.
Also, one thing that happened that was really hard at the beginning, when I started getting these new shops, it was very difficult because suddenly I improved my quality, so people wanted that kind of quality. So maybe before I would say that developing a character would take 1 week, and then suddenly you improve, but and you're supposed to do it faster, but it's the opposite. It takes longer.
Uh-huh.
Because you become much more introspective. You take more time, you explore more the character. So I told my characters, yeah, it's gonna be ready in 1 week, and maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks. So you go learning. Now I know. Um, it is difficult when you move forward, but it's so. I mean, you learn a lot about yourself too. You push yourself. You know you can do more, and and I think you become much more confident in your whole life. Uh, yeah.
That's great. What's the self-talk though? You know what I mean by self-talk? The like what are you saying to yourself to get through the doubt? Because you, as you said, you become more introspective, and so as I become more introspective, that's more opportunity for the inner critic to be more unpleasant. What do you say to yourself? What are you thinking? What's going on in your mind as you're going into those depths?
Um, I think I set a goal on what I want to achieve. For example, if you see, I recently watched Spider-Verse,
Hmm.
which was totally like a breakthrough. It changed it changed the industry, I think.
Uh-huh.
The style, the looks, the story. Um, and I think those are the best examples to compare with. Or if you want to go with the realism, just compare with Graf Rossetti and see what he's doing different from you, why he's great and you're still not there.
Hmm.
I mean, and even if you're not there, you don't have to feel discouraged. It takes time. Actually, I have a course. It's just in Spanish for
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
So I became a teacher. I have to give feedbacks, and I realize how the people, my students act, how they think. Okay, I've been dealing with this character for 3 days. I and they think that's too much.
I know, right?
It's nothing. Yeah,
It's child's
and
play.
I
It's like
know
you barely should have the
the,
base mesh thought through.
yeah, and they're happy with their work. It's hard to be a teacher because
Yeah.
you see maybe it's way behind the character. You can improve it in so many ways, but it's a personal process that you can interfere. You can give a few points,
Mm-hmm.
but each person has to go developing their criteria, their view um, by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, you see a few students that they progress with each new project, and some others it's like they are always repeating themselves. I think it's a matter of mindset, and for that I think the best way is to listen to other people, how their process
Mm-hmm.
was.
Yeah, I get that.
But
That
yeah,
makes
I'm
sense.
very critic. It's very hard to be 100% happy with your project. But I'm if I'm 97% happy, okay, I know I can post it.
Yeah, good. What's the role of social media for an artist today, from your perspective?
It's your business. It's your exhibiting. I switched, for example, I started like many artists switching my Instagram account, where at first you put the dogs of the pictures of your dog, I mean, your family, your son, and then you stop posting that and you just post everything related to work. Uh, Everything that you can help with. If you make a tutorial or some tips and tricks, um, people is always happy to see that, to see your process. So sharing your process is great. It brings you a lot of not also followers, but also people that likes you. I'm so grateful with so many people that I learned from. So yeah, it's great that suddenly you were like you were watching and then you have some kind of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not about the ego. It's about you're gonna have work. You're not gonna starve. I will be able to put food on my table.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And what do you think character artists specifically here? And we're just going to talk, we're not talking games or film, we're just talking character arts. It could be a bunch of different things because you can do character arts for ads and agencies and campaigns and things like that too, right?
Yeah.
What do character artists need to focus on today? Because if I look at your work, I see a really clear progression where, things changed right around the tub and the girl in terms of the illustrative quality. Would you say, let's start here. Where'd you say getting that illustrative quality um, leveled up the jobs that you were getting, or no?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, the more you level up, the better clients you're gonna get, the better payment you're gonna get,
Hmm.
but it's gonna be much more difficult. For example, before uh, uh, the client wasn't very picky, like I showed the character 2 or 3 times and it was done.
Yeah.
Now it takes a lot of rounds for they to approve the character
Hmm.
because I have more professional and picky clients.
Yeah.
And it is great because sometimes you get frustrated. You just want to end up the shop and just get paid. But and then you receive emails with a lot of feedback and changes, and but then you do it and you realize that they were right. When you have a good clients, better clients, it also helps you to improve because the for example, um, I'm working on a character right
Hmm.
now. It's
Hmm.
for an upcoming game. It's this character. It started really bad, and I was, oh my god, this client is crazy. It's never gonna end. But he was right with every feedback that he gave me, and I wasn't encouraged at all about this character. But now I'm very happy, and this is a character that I'm happy with, that I'd be very happy to show it in my portfolio.
How'd you develop the hair? Hair looks awesome.
I'm not happy still with the hair. I use a brush. I think it's the Macron, this one, Macron brush. But I want
brush. That's cool.
improve the hair. I think it's too messy. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on it a lot. Probably redoing it from scratch. I know it's worthy, even if the client approved it, he approved it, but I'm not happy with it. So I think it's gonna be worthy to make it better.
And the Macron, that's Makkan, I think, right?
Yes, this one, Makkon. I use this one and also this other one from Dylan Ekram.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Dylan's awesome.
Yeah, I'm also taking his course.
Cool.
About creating appealing characters. It's amazing how he teach you how to read. It's pretty similar to Mac DeFeo, but he brought a few new ways to look at your characters. For example, to check, to have like a simple shape from one side and a more interesting shape on the other side. So it's those tips that they really help your work.
Especially when you're considering the whole notion of appeal, and there's also like Shane Olson, who's a friend of mine. He's just doing amazing.
Oh yeah, I learned a lot from Shane.
Yeah, and he does challenges in his community.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of his streams.
Is that something that's up in your future? You thinking about getting out and as if we go on the influencer conversation and kind of building your brand, so to speak, with courses and things like that?
Yes, for sure. I'm planning to do a course next year. I think I'm trying to save money to take the whole year for myself next year.
Okay.
Because I want to keep improving. I know I have to improve a lot of fields. So yeah, I wanted to work on a course. Also, I learned a lot from you about how to develop a course. Awesome. The one I did in Spanish, I had to edit it myself. So you have to re-record the parts that maybe you explained while working, but they were not clear.
Yeah.
Try to speed up the parts that they don't make much sense to show it in real time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was surprised with the feedback that I received with the course that I really did, and it's very great, satisfying to help other people.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Parth is asking, let's get some questions, guys, because we're at that timeline. Parth is asking, do you work every character with your eyes closed because of blend shapes or something like that?
No. Actually, for example, this one, I close them in a layer for the UVs.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense. Because are you for UVs? Are you using UV Master, or are you just taking this over to Maya or Max?
Maya. Actually, I'm doing UVs in Maya because it's way better than Max.
Oh, okay. Oh, better than Max, huh?
Polish, yeah. I'm using Topogan.
Okay.
But yeah, when you do texturing, you have to close the eyelids.
Have you got to experiment with that whole Z remesh plugin? Not Z remesh, Z
Uh,
mesh. What's it called? Z guys, help me
Secret.
out here. Z wrap. Thank you. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
man,
I just started using it this week.
it's pretty awesome. Huh? I love that.
Because yeah, for example, I had to do the topology for a hand, a
Hmm.
realistic hand,
Hmm.
and I had a good topology from a cartoony character, and
Hmm.
it did an amazing job.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Raphael's asking, what's the big difference between Maya and Max for UVs?
I think Maya incorporated Unfold 3D,
Right. Okay.
which does a great job.
Yeah.
And with Max, it's not that great. You have to adjust. You have belt, but you have to adjust by hand a lot.
Cool.
Um,
All right, a couple more questions to throw your way again, because I don't think I quite got this answered, or I might not have asked it the right way. What do you think character artists need to focus on today? Like, what's the primary thing? If you're starting out, because if you were starting out 10 years ago, we would have said focus on ZBrush. If you're starting out today, of course, you got to get ZBrush. That's the basics. That's the price of entry. But what do I need to focus on to make myself a job candidate?
I think you have to focus first on getting the concept right. Just
Mm,
putting the 3D model on top of the 2D and
hmm.
see if everything fits.
Okay.
It's like I come from an artistic school.
Okay.
We used to have lip model, and I remember when you had to extend your arm and take proportions with your finger or your pencil, and make sure that everything matches. And yeah, of course, modeling, making sure, because sometimes you have a character that looks right from on the front view,
Hmm.
it looks right on the side view, but then you put a three-quarter, then it doesn't look right. So what I do is just go and move it. I focus, for example, on this line, and I turn it very slowly and make sure that just with the move brush
Yeah.
that makes sense from every angle. Another thing that is very important for me is to look the character from the top and below.
Yeah.
Um, Also, when sculpting, don't use the skin shade because it's very tricky.
Hmm.
Everything looks nice, but it's better just to use a different material. For example, I use the Zebro, this one, Zebro modeling, and no texture.
Zebro.
Yeah, it is great to see the details.
That is actually really nice.
So
That's better than Metcap.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I hate the red one. Um, so to become a character artist, yeah, I think you have to be flexible to to do the concept that they give you. I mean, if you are into stylized characters, don't do a realistic character for your portfolio,
Hmm.
because you don't want that kind of shops. Just do the kind of shops that you want to make, and just make sure compare with the pros. Then, for example, when you do hair, if I look at this, it doesn't look right. Just go to Frank Sen or other people who sculpt hair and check the difference. You're gonna see like this is too messy. It doesn't look good at all. Just comparing with with other artists is, I think it's the best to know where you're at. And then same with clothing, with textures. Um, And yeah, also you have to know all the technical aspects for animation. I mean, I don't like to do characters for games because I think it's a technical shop. You have to try to make it look as good as possible with a limited amount of textures and polygons. But you have to know how to build the structures to the form properly. I mean, the facial features. You can see here I divide the polygroups. So like a muscular shapes. Same with the body. I know it's technical. It's not. I don't like to do topology or UVs. I like to design and sculpt, but you have to know those aspects too. Everything has to work in production.
Until the machines do it for us.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes.
Theory measure is awesome, but you cannot just trust on theory measure for face. But you can trust on SIGGRAPH. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions, guys? You know where to find Matias. We head over to your art station, my friend, so people know where to find you. I really appreciate you coming in and talking and showing us the work and sharing your insight.
I remember I met you at SIGGRAPH 2007. You were doing a demo at the Pixologic booth.
Oh man, that was
Long time
probably the
ago.
last time I went to SIGGRAPH, I think. I did so much SIGGRAPH, I was like, I'm done for the rest of my life.
Are you going to Lightbox?
No, where is it?
It's going to be in Pasadena in September.
I'm just now thinking about getting in and visiting some conventions. I'm like, okay, I might be ready to go back now. But I'm down in Laguna Beach, and so it is really hard to get me out of
Okay.
Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
Real hard. But that would be neat. It'd be neat to meet up with you there. That'd be great.
Yeah, it will be great to see you.
All right, Matias, thank you so much for coming in, sharing your thoughts, your wisdom, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much, Ryan.
All right, take care and good luck.
Pleasure.
And I'm just excited to see all the growth and success you're having.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, guys, thanks for joining. Take care, guys.
All right. So I want to thank you so much for being here, for taking the time, and for listening to this podcast. And I want to ask a couple of things from you. Number one, make sure you leave a comment or you rate this on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever it is that you're getting this. That's going to make a big difference in helping us get the word out and get people to know who we are. All right. The other thing is I want to make sure you know where to find us. So you can head over to www.gameartinstitute.com where you can learn about our flagship program, which is the Game Artist Bootcamp. This is designed for those who are really looking to move the needle on their career and really lock in that job. You may have gone to school and learned a bunch, maybe haven't learned a bunch. But at the Game Art Institute, the primary focus we have is the very specific industry skills, the triggers that you really need to hit in that job interview. What are the specific things that they're looking for? That's what we're going to be training you on. We're taking applications right now for environment artists and for character artists. So make sure you head over to www.gameartinstitute.com and apply today. That way we can have that conversation, make sure this is a fit for you, make sure that you're a fit for it, and if everything is perfect, then we will sign you up for that right away and get you into your training and start moving the needle on your career. All right? Thank you so much again for being here. Take care. Have an amazing day.